But by name, my name is Odhiambo Kaumah. That is my pen name. I am a teacher of chemistry and mathematics, but I have a passion for writing. I'm a poet and a creative writer.
You made a name for yourself during the 2022 general elections. You penned down a very touching poem after it was declared that Raila Odinga had lost the presidency to William Ruto. What were you thinking when you wrote that poem?
No, I don't really think it was a moment to think. Actually, it was a moment to feel because I've always been greatly interested in the politics of my nation because I believe that politics basically is the foundation of progress as a nation. So as a youth, I was greatly involved in the happenstances of the time. I was a strong supporter of the candidate, that is the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. And it was not the first time that I was supporting him. I was with him in 2017. I was with him in 2013. That is the first time I ever voted. So what made the 2022 contest different was, well, basically I can say two things. One is that it came at a point when I thought that he was losing the advantage of age. And I looked at it like the final attempt at the presidency. And there was a lot of things at stake. Secondly, Raila Odinga represented a very passionate constituency of voters or politics in our country. It represented another option in what has been historically a politically dominated area. So at that point, at the moment of loss, I really felt tight myself. So that night, actually, I wrote that poem at night and it was raining. I was in Kisumu. So it was a stream of poetry that kept on coming to me all the time. And then I just kept on writing in the mere imagination of, it was the last loss we had. We did not have another chance with him. So I imagined him coming back home as a son, somebody we sent out so strong, but has come back an old man, basically, who is not the same person, the energetic Odinga that we sent out to go and battle in the political scene. So that is the feeling I had at that point. And I think it touched me as a writer and also as a person.
Very prominent people in high places were really looking for you. And I think I saw one of them, Sabina Chege. She was asking if somebody can link you with her. Did you talk to her, and what did she say?
Yeah, sure. When that piece of art started going viral, I think the first person who looked for me, who shared it, was Honorable Sabina Chege. And she genuinely sent out anybody who had my contact. And I think before the end of that day, actually, she got my contact. I must really be grateful to Honorable David Sijenyi, who actually connected me to her that very evening. And we had a long talk. The most important thing that we talked about were the events of the moment and the feeling of the moment. She was a very strong and genuine supporter of Raila Odinga at that point. And we were united in those words. I think those words really gave people the true feeling of the moment. And she was grateful that through me, the words came out. And I think to me, that was the most important thing.
Is it true that Ida Odinga also reached out to you?
Yeah, true. It is true that Mama Ida Odinga reached out to me. Actually, again, I must be grateful to Honorable Sabina Chege. I think she went and shared my pieces. You remember, even after that first piece, I kept on writing and writing.
Yeah.
So it was more than one piece, and it got the attention of the country, and it spoke the feelings of the moment. So I think Madam Honorable Sabina Chege went and shared some of these pieces with Mama Ida Odinga, and I was really elated to talk to her at that moment. She called me, and we had a long chat. I thought she was the most hurt with those kind of events, being the person who actually gave out Raila Odinga to us. And you can remember that emotive event at Kasarani Stadium, the day when Raila Odinga was declaring his candidature. Actually, Mama Ida Odinga spoke the exact words and told us that I've given him out to you. And I think she was talking like that because she knew that this last time it was a good job and he was going to win. So at that moment of loss, I really felt sorry for her. And when she spoke to me and she told me that everything will be fine, I think it cooled me down. And that is exactly what I said to my followers at that moment.
Did you get to meet them in person?
I can't say not yet. I haven't met them in person, but they're quite accessible. I've had a privilege of having their personal numbers, and they've always been very kind to receive at any time I give a call. So I think it's just a matter of time.
The same way the poem was received well by other people, there are other people who also did not like your poem. Did you get any communication from them, let's say through your DMs or through their posts whereby they were attacking you?
Unfortunately, I think the majority of people who read that poem felt the positives of it. I do not remember at that very moment a specific message of attack on that piece of art. I received, I think, thousands of messages. I can say thousands because I'm still opening some up to date. And most of them were people who were expressing their feelings. They felt that that piece really showed them the true state of things, that here was a hero. Here was a person who had given all his life, all his youthful energy to the struggles of this nation. But now, at the moment when he thought he would be rewarded with a victory, it all came tumbling down. So I think most of the messages that I received were really people, basically, or let me say, literally crying, saying that it was such a sad moment for them.
Did that poem change your life as a writer?
Quite a difficult question. I don't know what really change is to a writer, but I think as a writer, yes, because it gives you the momentum when your piece is appreciated, when your piece expresses the feelings of people. That is what art is supposed to do. So whether it gave me the momentum to do much more as a writer, that is the question. Yes.
You also met Swaleh Mdoe and the writer of Kifo Kisimani. Is it Kifo Kisimani?
Yes. Right.
What did they tell you? Because in one of your posts you said that one of them said that this is the guy who wrote that poem. What was the conversation?
No, it was at the Nairobi annual book fair at Sarit Center. So they also came there in their rights as authors and people who have been carrying basically as authors. Kithaka Wamberia, for example, Prof, is a very prominent person whose works of art have actually elicited a lot of reaction. I've also highlighted the happenstances in our political scene. So I think it's Kithaka Wamberia Prof that I met first. And I was actually buying his book. I was not there to introduce myself. I was buying another of his book. And then when I told him my name to go and sign, he looked up to me and I could see it in his face that he was trying to remember something. And then I think it got to him and he said, I think I've heard this name. And I told him, okay, I'm not sure. And then he said, and I think at that moment somebody else and came, okay, this is the Odhiambo Kaumah, is the guy who wrote that poem. And then Prof just picked and said, yes, I knew that name. And I think it was a great feeling being recognized by somebody whose text I actually did at Form 4 level and I was really passionate about. And then now Swaleh Mdoe also joined in, and it was for me one of the best moments of being accepted in public as a writer.
You've also ventured into writing,
Yes.
and so far you've done a number of books.
Yes.
Just give us a sneak peek of the books that you've written and what is the theme.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, before basically publishing books, I've tried my hands in different kinds of writing. And I think I've been trying to explore the digital space for quite some time. I've published a lot of poetry before, a lot of short stories before, a lot of essays before on some of these digital platforms. But basically, when now it comes to publishing, so far I have published 2 books. One of them is an anthology of short stories I did with very good, I would say, young writers like me, Kenyans. We were 8 of us. We did an anthology titled Broken Rhythm, which basically contains 8 brilliant stories. Yeah, the themes cut across, because actually the interesting thing about that book was that it was written during the COVID-19 when the whole world was really stressed up. So when we met to go and collect these stories, we thought we were going to come up with very happy stories. But unfortunately, when we met for peer reviews and editing, we realized that most of our stories were quite sad. And we thought that at some point, the rhythm of life that had flown for all that time before us seeing a pandemic had broken. So that's why we decided to title that book Broken Rhythm. But it contains 8 stories that are very deep, touching on issues of social life, rape. Like personally, my story talks about the issue of rape. My story there is titled Don't Let the Man Die, which is also kind of a very good prison literature, I would say, though it's not in my own right to decide whether my works are good or not. Now, the second book is a collection of poetry pieces. This is now my own book now. These pieces, I've been writing them ever since we were with you. That is almost like 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, 6, 7 years ago. But they are dedicated to my own father. I had quite a good relationship with my father. He was a man of an advanced age. But I think we talked a lot. We used to talk a lot with him, and he gave me the voice. He gave me a different angle of looking at things, almost an angle that goes far beyond my age. So it is always a voice that has always interested me. The wisdom of the old has always interested me. And also having a deep interest in the culture of my people, the Luo people of Kenya. Now that is the voice that I try to produce in that book. Though it is a 3-part poetry anthology. The first part is when I talk with the voice of the old man. The second part now explores my pieces of poetry as a young man growing up in love and life, basically. And the third part now is a little bit political, because those are the 3 parts of me. It's a bit political. It's titled An Elegy to Kofi Annan. It actually begins with a piece I did when Kofi Annan actually sadly passed on. I was touched and I decided to do a piece for him. So it's quite a good book. the title is Let the Old Man Speak and Other Poems.
For somebody who would want to get these books,
Yes.
how do they get them?
Now, first of all, I think I would like to put it clearly that I've explored the case, the path of self-publishing, which is truly a fast-growing field in Kenya. Compared to mainstream publishing. So, first of all, I am the main distributor of my books. So I've always given out my contacts outside there, and I'm also very accessible. And I send the books everywhere in the world. You just get to reach out to me, and then we talk, and then I'll send you the book. But mostly, again, my books are available at various bookshops in Nairobi. And one of them is Nuria. So Nuria, on Facebook, I think they identify themselves as Nuria Your Store, which is really a good place for authors and readers. And also our copies are available at Book Launch. Book Launch is also a very good library, or let me say bookstore, owned by a lady called Kemunto Nyakundi, who has been a good promoter of local writers, especially in the age of self-publishing.
Sure. Okay. Aside from that, there are people who inspired us while we were back in campus.
Yes.
I want us to start with Obilo Kobilo.
Yes.
Obilo Kobilo was one writer that I said that guy, other than being connected in campus, his pen was on another level.
Mighty.
What do you have to say about Obilo?
Now, first of all, it is quite sad that Obilo Kobilo did not reach here today with us. It's quite unfortunate that he passed on almost immediately after leaving campus. But these were the true warriors of the pen in our days in campus. And actually, I remember my first encounter with him. I remember he was actually the editor-in-chief at the Third Eye, which was a rival which would become a rival publication after when we ventured into the legacy. So I think my first adventure with him is when I did a piece, and it was actually my first piece to be submitted to the editor, and I think that was William Decker, who convinced me to take that piece to the Third Eye. So when my piece went there, I expected that it was supposed to be published the next day. But then comes Obilo Kobilo, and I think he had observed something and he had written an article about it. I think it was a bit of politics of campus.
Yeah.
And he decided that it was my article which was going to be thrown away. So I was mad at him that he did that. But the next day when now I went to the notice board, where we used to read all these pieces, I really felt that it was worth pushing my work away to get that work published. That is when I started appreciating the works of Obilo Kobilo. But even before that, I think his pen was mighty. His pen, his choice of words, his sense of humor in his pieces were actually great. And I think we owe them a piece of memory, even as we continue to advance in the field of writing.
In politics, we had the likes of the late Evans Joel,
yes,
the late Dogana,
yes,
and we also have Apa Mwambeo,
yes,
the chairman himself.
The chairman.
What do you have to say about these three people?
Now, it is interesting that during that time, I got an inspiration to write some poetry pieces that actually touches on these people. And the book that I'm holding in my hand right now, that is Let the Old Man Speak, actually has all these names. I don't know how it happens, but let me give you the background of this piece. And that is now what will actually define what I say about them.
Yeah.
Now, you remember Otieno Sekuri?
Yes.
The last philosopher.
Yes.
Was also a very mighty penman. So Otieno Sekuri actually happened to have been my inspiration, especially in political writing. something that I don't think he knew, because I didn't want to tell him that, because somewhere else I was his boss. We were trading with him something with martial arts, and now I was his captain. So I did not want to reveal to him about that.
Yeah.
But now when we came out, he graduated a year ahead of us. And when I came out, I think Sekuri did political science and public administration, something he was really good in. Remember his banters with Governor Joel Evans and Gitungo Wamere on those spaces. They used to write a lot of articles and fight back at each other, which was something very interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, when he came out, I think in all this struggle to get jobs, especially in our economy, he was not quite lucky. And he decided to venture into another thing. He actually registered with the Kenya Prison Service.
Yeah.
And to me, the moment, I think it was after some time, that he updated us. That I think I only got to know about it when he posted a photo during his graduation, that he had actually joined the Kenya Prison Service. And to me, I wanted to congratulate it, but I thought that we had lost a mighty man of the pen. I thought Otieno Sekuri had somehow decided to quit the journey of penmanship, or let me say the intellectual battles that we were beating during that time. And so I decided to write a piece for him, and it's a piece that I titled "Recalling the Spirits of Jobless Graduates." And actually, the character of this piece is actually Otieno Sekuri. And I start by saying that, do not take the pen on the left. Your hands are too small for it. You will fail. You will surely fail. The owner of that pen will be back. He must write again. Otieno will write again. He must come back and write of our endless frustration, of constant brutalization and oppression, of high-ranked corruption and economic dislibation. He will come back and write how it feels to bribe for a job you won't get. So that is the feeling I was expressing in this poem. I felt that we had failed the people like Otieno Sekuri, who could do really so well. So in that piece is where now I start to remember our campus days. And I mentioned the people that you were telling me earlier. I insist that Otieno must be sent for. Otieno must come back. If we send Wamere to tell him that Brother Joel is back from Greek, holding the mighty pen of Epicurus, urging us to eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die, Otieno will be back. If we send Bush to go tell him that Dogana is back from Athens, holding the poisonous pen of hemlock, teaching us to live and die for what we believe in, Otieno will come back. If we send Mwamburi, now this is the chairman himself,
Yes.
and tell him that Kobilo is back from England, holding the Queen's Dictionary on his hands, dislocating our linguistic orientation in gigantic proportion, Otieno will be back. So I try to express the characters of these people. Remember, Mwamburi was really philosophical. So Mwamburi is coming from going to Kobilo here, because Kobilo, you realize he was also really a man of big words.
Yeah.
I also try to mention Dogana, who was also another great leader during our time, somebody who inspired us both in writing and also in leadership. So that environment in itself created a piece of this book. And I think that it was a great honor to me to have documented those memories in something that will last forever.